Welcome back, everybody. I am super pumped about what we're going to be doing today. I got to share a little bit of background story with what we're going to be teaching you today. You know, one of the things that I really pride myself on with being able to share great experiences, contacts, relationships, and knowledge with you is that I like to keep good friends. You know, the trick is to keep good friends. Hang out with people way smarter than you. That has always been my secret to my success, is hang out with people way smarter than you. And our guest today is exactly that. He's got a master's in science and business. And I just learned that was a thing. He's got a master's in science and business and an undergrad in finance. But here's the thing. He's been in marketing now for over a decade. He's been in marketing since 2004, so really close to a decade, right? We're just shy of, so 2004. And the thing that's interesting is the entire time he has been in this world that you're in marketing, as an agency, even as an info product provider. He actually created an info product with a really good friend of mine, Mr. Yannick Silver. A lot of you guys know Yannick Silver. And he was very famous for, you know, what his copywriting. He's an amazing info product marketer. He and my guest, Michael Holland, today got together way back in the early days and really did some amazing things in the internet marketing world. So he's even been through that side of it. So what you need to know is that he went deep dive on study because he's smart like that, that he decided to take a look at this marketing and all this convergence of digital marketing meets physical world marketing. As all of us know now, there is a definite convergence. We play there with mobile apps, right? And so he took a year of a deep dive, the way any professor would, the way any super smart guy would, and he actually created a study that you're going to get the benefit of today. It's brand new. It's a methodology called Emex Marketing. It's a combined, a synergistic combination of email and text marketing. A lot of you guys that are here and the gals that are in the GoMobile community, you're involved in marketing with text message. You're involved with marketing with push notifications. You're involved with marketing in email, Facebook Messenger, or any of these other omni-channel type approaches that you take to marketing. And Michael Holland's doing exactly that. You know, he's really taken a study of how the digital world marketing meets the physical world of marketing, and you're going to learn the power of Emex Marketing today. So this is brand new. He wants to get the knowledge out there. He doesn't have a product to sell you. You know, we don't sell product at all on these, but he doesn't even have a product for you to buy later. This is really about you getting an understanding of the benefit, the byproduct of what his deep study has been over this last year.
By the way, a quick trivia question for you. Did the domain name of emps.org raise anyone's antenna? Does that brand name ring a bell with anyone? Okay. If not, I'll tell you. It used to be owned by the Direct Marketing Association, and it housed the first Do Not Email Me registry created in 2000. It has moved elsewhere, and the domain name was sold to us. In any event, EMPS stood for Email Preference Service. But now the mission of the domain under us has been reimagined into a marketing information and resource blog with Emex Marketing as its primary focus. But it won't be the only topic that we cover. For now, I'm content with EMPS being the brand name with no additional meaning behind those letters. But before we get going, again, just a little bit of housekeeping. I wanted to make sure that you've got the PDF because we're going to be talking through that and giving you lots of information. So that's key. Also, please forgive me for not looking directly at the camera at all times because I'm sort of moving around, looking at my notes, looking at the PDF. Also, as we get going here, I'll share a bit more about myself and my background. But as you now open the PDF and scroll to the introduction section, I want to start this session with an informal poll, and there's nothing for you to click. And I just have there's three choices, and it's all in your mind. It's one, are you terrified of selling, or do you feel that you don't have enough marketing knowledge to compete, or do you just flat out wish you could get a bigger competitive edge over other marketing agencies or consultants? If any of those apply to you,
retirement accounts to invest in.
You okay? If any of those apply to you, then what I'm about to cover will give you a big boost in confidence and ideas. And if you're already a super marketer, this is going to make your life even easier. My hope is that you'll see this new approach as a tool that you can use to your advantage. Now, what you should know about the PDF is that it is an abbreviated version of a 13,000 plus word blog post on our website, emps.org. It's titled Emex Marketing, the Definitive Guide. I've included a link to it in the PDF so that you can check it out at your leisure. Also, you'll notice that the stats in the PDF don't have active links to sources. I didn't think they were needed for this chat, but again, they are active in the full blog post. And I have a little gift for you, as Damien mentioned, for those of you who hang out until the end. Other than that, as we get going, feel free to chime in with any questions. This is an informal setting, and a two-way interaction is always welcome. So, what I'm going to cover is a new digital marketing category that I had the audacity to create to help local businesses. And once you know how it works, you'll understand why you're perfectly positioned to help those businesses and yourself. Also, please keep in mind that the blog post was written with local business owners as the target audience. But as you'll discover, having an informed business owner will make your job of converting them into clients much easier. So let's move on to section 2 or chapter 2 of the PDF. What is Emex Marketing? As you now know, the new digital marketing category is Emex Marketing. In chapter 2, I've included an image, and I'm just scrolling to it now, and it shows, you probably see the 3 interconnecting circles of email, text messaging, and voice, with Emex Marketing being the center of all that, the common part of all that. And the definition is that Emex Marketing is the act of sending commercial messages to subscribers and customers using both email and text messaging technology. Emex software sends similar or the same messages simultaneously or one after the other. The content can promote a business's products and services, deliver digital coupons, announce events, incentivize loyalty, remind clients, and more. Text messaging can include SMS, MMS, push notifications, in-app messaging, and more. Voice plays a support role when needed. But when emails and text messages are sent simultaneously, they will greatly amplify a brand's reach and engagement. So email is the long-form communication tool, and text messaging is the short form. Some people might wonder, if SMS has a 98% delivery and open rate, why the heck do I need email? The answer is that email allows you to do more marketing. It's a great channel if you want to ratchet up the emotional connection with your audience and build relationships. And again, I'm talking about the business doing that with their customers. So the email could also include the coupon, plus mention specials, include images, links to videos, and have reviews that could inspire more people to take action faster. The benefits of Emex Marketing include building an Emex community more responsive than email alone, getting your messages read by more prospects and customers, grabbing the attention of your target audience faster, improving open, click-through, and conversion rates, turning more subscribers into customers, and shortening the customer buying journey. I mean, that's got to sound like great stuff. but you watch. So Emex Marketing, again, if you have the PDF open, Emex Marketing even has its own mission and logo. So I wasn't playing around. The goal is to make this something very serious, and oftentimes to make something serious, when you have a logo and there's a picture that people can see, it'll stick in memory. So the mission of Emex Marketing is to help businesses attract more customers and keep them loyal. And that's what local businesses are telling you guys, right? And one key way to do that is for businesses to amplify their messages while providing their prospects and customers with a similar experience across multiple channels and devices. Finally, as you'll see later, Emex Marketing also has its own framework, methodology, and terminology. So yeah, I spent that year doing a lot of stuff. Now, some of you might be wondering, who is this joker, me, giving us advice? And it's a fair question. So before we go any further, allow me to share a bit about my background. And so in the PDF, if you move to section 3, chapter 3, title Michael's Story, and you'll see there, I've been a full-time digital marketer since 2004. But that's not where my business journey began. That part started in the 80s. Yeah, I know I look, 29, but I've been around a while. That's when I began to understand business processes and what makes them tick. I started my business career as a corporate financial and operational auditor. And as you see in the job summary below my picture in the PDF, I work for a variety of large companies that span an even wider variety of industries and business types. During my career as an auditor, I travel 60 to 70% of the time worldwide, looking under the hood of all kinds of business operations. So my job, often as a team leader, was to ensure that the facilities were following company policies and implementing best practices. To make sure that everything was on the up and up, we flowcharted all key business processes, interviewed staff and management, examined detailed financial records, and ultimately wrote a report of findings and recommendations for improvement. Each engagement could last 2 to 8 weeks. Of course, what helped us get through those engagements smoothly was having a foundational methodology and a set of guidelines and best practices. And you'll notice that theme keeps coming up. Foundational methodology and a set of guidelines and best practices. As you'll soon learn, that's what Emex Marketing offers. Over time, my operational audit experience made it much easier for me to connect logical dots when presented with a chaotic set of data, information, or circumstances. And there's nothing more chaotic than the internet, right? But after doing corporate auditing, I transitioned to re-engineering and ERP software implementations in the mid-90s. Most of that work occurred with Deloitte Touche. Again, I've included a summary of the types of clients we helped during my tenure. With Deloitte, our job was to take existing business processes and completely reimagine how they could work better, more efficiently, and effectively. We would then incorporate the new workflows into a software called SAP. Many of you may be familiar with that if you work for a big company. Again, with Deloitte, we followed a methodology and set of best practices. In any event, my career was plugging along nicely, but everything changed on 9/11/2001. I think we're all familiar with that date. So when the Twin Towers came down, so did the economy. I was soon out of a job. For a while, I did independent consulting. But one day, while having a conversation with my brother, he mentioned this thing called internet marketing. And after a little investigation, it didn't take me long to get hooked on the possibilities. My first website was in e-commerce dropshipping. It was with a company called SMC, Service Merchandise Corporation. Any of you guys remember SMC? They sold knickknacks, figurines, wall decor, birdhouses, etc. Unfortunately, that site didn't last very long. Back then, there were limited drop shipping opportunities, and there were a bazillion copycat SMC websites like mine. But then one day, while doing keyword research, I noticed a bunch of keywords that had very high search volume, but limited competition. That led me to create my first info product of many. It was a $47 ebook called Strike It Niche. Back then, no one said niche unless you were from, Europe. Everyone said niche because niche rhyme with rich. And that's what caused me to use that name. And that success was soon followed by a $397 physical info product course called the Niche Mastery System. Again, in the PDF, I was able to somehow find images of those from back in those days, and you can see what they look like. So over the years, as the internet has evolved, I've ridden the wave of a variety of exciting digital marketing opportunities. Info products, e-commerce, local marketing, lead generation, SEO, social media, and more. In some areas, I've had fantastic success, and in others, I learned valuable lessons. And as I've said, I've been doing this full time for many years. But then comes the birth of Emex Marketing, to fast forward. Again, that's chapter 4 in your PDF. So after a year of, or I should say, after about a year ago, my spidey senses perked up, and I noticed a convergence within the internet, the chaos. The physical and digital worlds were converging in a way that could significantly benefit small local businesses and e-commerce brands, and therefore marketing agencies and consultants, like you guys. I've summarized some of my early observations in the PDF. Now, my original plan was to take what I was observing and prepare a one-page positioning statement for my own local business and marketing efforts. But that quickly went out the window. And over the next 9 months, I spent time unearthing more data and analyzing trends to confirm my suspicions. I concluded that the time was now for Emex Marketing. It is my belief that there is no longer a question of if local businesses will implement this new framework and methodology, but when. One key reason I say this is because big companies with their big budgets are already quietly employing a lot of what I'm about to show you in their omni-channel marketing strategies and campaigns. You guys are the first group I've had a chance to share this approach with, and I think it's something that could be of benefit to all local marketers.
And thank you for that, Michael, for letting us be the first group to share this. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on. But by being the first to view this presentation, you have a big edge. Of course, I won't be upset if you share what you learn with some of your very best marketing friends. So allow me to further unveil how Emex Marketing came about and what makes it unique. For the time that we have, I can only share part of the story, but as I mentioned earlier, you can access the entire Emex Marketing Guide blog post on the EMPS website, complete with plenty of stats, images, examples, and the case study. And just like when I was in the auditing and ERP consulting worlds, I knew it was important to convert the digital chaos into a framework and set of best practices to make it easy for people to understand. The framework and best practices are two big components that you can and should share with your clients to ensure that you both are on the same page. There is no need to keep them secret because your detailed implementation strategies and solutions are one level below the methodology. And that's your ace in the hole for getting paid. As I mentioned, I originally had no plans to position Emex Marketing as a new digital marketing category. This is not the sort of challenge you take on without lots of contemplation. But since I'm kind of a don't sweat the small stuff kind of person, I said, what the hell? Now, there were two great resources among many that helped me fine-tune the approach and adjust my thinking. And so as you now in the PDF, and we move to chapter 5. So before we go on, are there any questions, comments so far? Anyone have anything to say?
Yeah, I was going to suggest that too, just to check in and see if anything is on your mind. If anybody has a question, want to make sure you're following along. All right, cool.
Okay.
Let's keep rolling.
We're good. All right, great.
Hold on. Right there. Whoop. You got it in. How much data variables went into this analysis? Where did you get all the data? You sounded like you were going on to this. And then Sergio asked if you had considered chatbots. So you want to address that first question?
Yeah, the data and research was just me just digging online. You start with some of the top marketing websites. For example, the ana.net, sites like HubSpot. And so I just started collecting, and you'd be amazed at how many reports, studies that these companies put out that are just really behind the scene. And I just started digging and reading and just going through the data. With regard to chatbots, I think you'll see as we go along why chatbots, per se, are useful, but weren't directly included as a core Emex marketing channel. But this is not to say you can't use them. But again, more on that in a minute. Thanks for those questions. The first resource is a book called Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Ray Wang. I've included a short profile about him in the PDF. But Ray is a Silicon Valley strategist and visionary who follows and analyzes tech trends. He's a frequent keynote speaker. You can find him on YouTube, and he's often on, some of the big, shows, whether it be CNBC and other places. In his book, Ray talks about how big companies are transforming themselves and entering markets no one would have ever suspected they'd venture into. And he says that businesses are able to do this because of seismic shifts in the digital landscape over the last decade. What giants like Apple and Amazon now possess to dominate any market they choose to enter is what he calls data-driven digital networks. So remember that, I'll repeat it. Data-driven digital networks. And these networks are defined as any business that captures, harnesses, and deploys insights from large amounts of data, often for free. In other words, these companies understand the value of collecting first-party data like consumer names, emails, phone numbers, interests, behaviors, etc. Case in point, Amazon is now in the movie-making business. Who would have seen that coming a decade ago? But the data they had collected told them there were opportunities in that market. And you know what? They have the intimate details of over 200 million Amazon Prime members that help them pull it off. Ray goes on to provide other examples and poses questions like, why does DoorDash, you guys know them, the food delivery service, continue to attract investors while losing money year after year? Could it be that DoorDash is building its own data-driven digital network to perhaps one day establish central kitchens in some towns to provide copycat delivery versions of popular meals at a lesser cost? Or maybe use the data to create pop-up restaurants. So lesson learned is it is important for all businesses, especially local, to build their own triple D networks. Even further, small businesses should be partnering and benefiting by pooling their networks together to compete against the big boys. The next helpful resource, the second resource that helped to reshape my thinking is an OG marketer that I came across on YouTube, and he also offers a course. Have you guys heard of Marty Marion? Does that name ring a bell with anybody? So Marty is one of the real OG Madison Avenue madmen. Remember that TV show? Marty worked with advertising legends like David Ogilvy. He is an expert on branding and positioning, and he developed a few twists to the traditional positioning model. One of the twists is that he expanded on the science of positioning to include depositioning. So what this means is that not only do you have to uniquely position your brand in the marketplace, but you must simultaneously deposition your competitors so that it is clear in the consumer's mind that your brand, product, or service is truly something different. The deposition must be overt and sufficient enough to cause doubt or dissatisfaction about the competition. One example that he talks about is how for decades, Listerine was far and away the leading mouthwash brand. They owned the mouthwash category. Sure, there were many imitators that came along and touted their unique selling proposition, but they couldn't gain much traction. Part of the reason is that they were trying to one-up Listerine by using the medical science angle. Then Procter & Gamble came along in 1966 and introduced a product called Scope. They recognized that the mouthwash Goliath had one potential weakness that none of the other competitors had exploited. And so P&G came up with 3 words that they overtly used to deposition Listerine. Anyone care to guess what those words were? Okay, don't be shy. Did I hear someone?
I'm intrigued.
The 3 words were fights, medicine, breath. No one wants to be exhaling medicine breath into other people's faces, right? So
Right.
the words were something that people could easily visualize and relate to. So P&G's overt depositioning effort allowed Scope to create the new category class of minty flavored mouthwash that fights medicine breath. I don't know where their sales stand today, but I would bet they are still the leader in the category class they created. And now, whenever I have an idea for a product or service, I no longer focus on USP. I think about how to position my product while simultaneously deposition my competitors. And so I think that's something that, you guys could apply, to your own businesses. As you think about, okay, here's what I'm doing in my business. What are my competitors doing? And what could I come up with to deposition them in the minds of prospects and potential clients? In fact, I went through this depositioning process multiple times as I was creating Emex Marketing. So now on to chapter 6, the positioning of Emex marketing. As an example, I didn't want people to think of Emex marketing as simply mobile marketing with email tacked on. Of course, I love mobile marketing, but what I had to do was to deposition it. I wanted to be clear to the reader that Emex marketing is mobile centric, but not mobile only. As you can see in the PDF, I did this by providing a few relevant stats. And again, I pulled this information from my Emex Marketing blog post. First, I made it clear that lots of people are still using their desktops and that Emex Marketing is not device specific. So as you can see there, mobile and desktop usage are about 50-50. Then for an added hip check, I provided stats comparing desktop versus mobile e-commerce conversion rates. And so you can see in that stat, desktop conversion rate is still about 50% higher. Next, I wanted to make it clear that the number one thing that makes Emex marketing effective is its ability to create cross-channel synergies. And as shown in the ROI graph that in the PDF, this approach provides multiple opportunities to convert more prospects into customers. And then the other thing I wanted to do was to gently but overtly deposition e-commerce to reassure local businesses that they are still in the game. As the retail sales chart shows in the PDF, e-commerce is growing rapidly, but physical in-store revenue is still ahead by a country mile. But while those retail numbers may make local businesses breathe a little easier, they can't sit back and relax because physical and digital marketing channels are converging. So now on to chapter 7. So you guys should be looking at a consumer preference chart. So as the consumer preference chart shows, if business owners want to attract more customers and keep them loyal, they need to understand the top methods that consumers want to communicate with them. Email leads the way, followed by social media, website, text messaging, voice, direct mail, and lastly, face-to-face. So, reflect for a moment on the earlier retail sales chart. Even though customer journeys may end in physical stores, they most often begin in the digital world. So hopefully you can begin to see how everything is beginning to come together. The Emex marketing channels are highlighted in blue on the chart. Of course, this is not to say businesses should avoid the other grayed out channels. As I'll discuss later, Emex Marketing advocates that every local business should establish a core marketing ecosystem where they have the most control and greatest opportunity to influence outcomes. But the other non-Emex channels can certainly play supportive roles. As an agency, this chart should make it easier for you to sit down with a potential client and say, here's what the independent research says you should focus on. So let's discuss the areas in which we can help you. Of course, with products like SMS Pro 360, which can be integrated with email, you have GoMobile apps, and you have GoMobile social at your fingertips. You guys are well positioned to be highly effective Emex marketers. Are you beginning to see the possibilities? If not, don't worry. I'm just warming up. So before I go on, any questions? Depositioning or?
Christine says, is this ecosystem a niche?
No, the ecosystem is not a niche. I'll give you an example shortly. Okay, so let's keep going here. So next, you should see in an image of a hair salon. Did you guys see that? So this is how Emex Marketing would work in the real world. So in the image, you see a neighborhood hair salon owner who would issue a 50% discount coupon to her VIP club subscribers. The offer is sent for maximum reach and engagement. Now, to be clear, the only requirement to be in Emex marketing mode is to simultaneously use email plus one text messaging channel. But if a business is doing a special promotion, I say use as many channels as are available. The business should allow their community to consume the information through the channel and device of their choice. Plus, you should know that deliverability rates can vary significantly by channel. Next, I've included a small list of the types of businesses that could employ Emex marketing. And as you see there, it's pretty much most local businesses. And it will even work for e-commerce brands. Next, I've included a table that shows the best ways for businesses to communicate various marketing messages. I intentionally excluded social media here, and you'll learn why shortly. It has to do with control of the marketing ecosystem. Dun, 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 dun. But the gist of what this chart should tell you is that businesses should be using multiple channels at the same time to communicate, since their customers have different preferences. And now let's move on to section 8. Americans have gone mobile first. Without a doubt, Americans have gone mobile first. The infographic I provided further supports why Emex marketing is the future. Americans love their smartphones. But mobile first does not mean mobile everything. Remember the earlier stats I showed regarding desktop versus mobile usage and conversion rates? To continue, I provided a few more stats that show why it's best to utilize multiple marketing channels. So you can see there, if you're using SMS, you should probably test MMS. And you can see why SMS has some benefits over email because of spam. And you also see how big the opportunity is in that 61% of small businesses have not even implemented SMS and MMS. And a lot of that is, I think that a framework, having an independent resource could help push them further along that path. Again, in the full blog post, I go into great detail about how all the Emex marketing, channels, email, SMS, MMS, push notifications, in-app messaging, and more. But since go ahead.
Michael, with this PDF, you did mention that our folks today can share this PDF with folks, right?
Yes, that's
okay. So like, for instance, if they wanted to take pieces of it and put it in their presentation pitch book, for lack of better terms, as they're walking their prospective clients through their presentation, are you open to that? Or
Damien, you're stealing my thunder, man. You're stealing
okay, cool. Sorry. There I go. Look, I did it myself. All right, let's shut up.
But it's all good because you are thinking ahead. That's a good thing.
I'm thinking for my people, man.
Think for the people. I love that. The answer is yes, and I'll go more to that towards the end.
But, and I know I didn't fully steal your thunder. There's still a lot of thunder left, so we'll put that out there.
Yeah, there you go. So let's see, where was I? Next, I wanted to go through the Emex Marketing Framework. So that's chapter 9. And this is where you'll start to pick up on what Damien was laying down there. At the heart of the Emex Marketing Framework is the digital marketing resource allocation strategy. Basically, it recommends where businesses should allocate their time and their resources. The strategy is driven by the 7 consumer-preferred business communication channels that I discussed earlier. And I think one thing I want to make it clear is that it'll be helpful to you. When you have data and you can sit down with a business owner and you can say, hey, listen, I'm just not pulling, this stuff out of the air. And you show them an independent source that says, this is where you need to focus your attention. That will go a long way in them saying, oh, okay, if that's an independent source and they say, you're not making it up, it makes your job a lot easier. That's the gist of my point there. So again, those channels were email, social media, chat, website, text messaging, voice, direct mail, and face-to-face. I developed this strategy by first creating 3 resource allocation zones. Zone 1, where a business should spend the most time and money. Zone 2, spend a moderate amount of time and money. And Zone 3, spend the least amount. I didn't assign percentages because zones represent the ideal scenario. But as we all know, every business is different, and most of them are a work in progress. Allocation decisions will depend on where the business stands in their marketing efforts and building a loyal community. The next thing I did was come up with assessment factors that would determine in which zone each of the 7 communication channels would fall into. And here are the factors that were used to assess each. So factor 1, the marketing ecosystem controller. So basically the marketing ecosystem is just what assets does the business owner have at their disposal? And then and within that, what do they control and what don't they control? And so the marketing ecosystem controller is the person or party who owns the marketing channel or channels, regulates processes, and controls access. If it's not the business owner, that's a bad sign. Factor 2, level of engagement. The channel reputation for how often people engage with the marketing content, offers, requests, etc. The higher, the better. And factor 3, strength of B2C relationships. And this is the level of commitment consumers have to your brand on a particular marketing channel. After applying the factors, I then summarize everything in a table that captures where resources should be allocated. So I'll give you a minute to
Very nice.
check out that table. As I'm scrolling down in the PDF to find it myself.
This is very good stuff to just demonstrate to the business owner. You really have a well thought out approach to their marketing or to the suggestions that you'll make in their marketing. And this is
that's
really good stuff.
That is spot on. Again, keep in mind that this table represents the ideal to which all local businesses should strive to reach. In my analysis, I concluded that businesses should allocate more resources to Zone 1, This is where the business has the greatest control over their marketing ecosystem. Engagement with prospects and customers is medium to high, and relationships are moderate to strong. This is where the proverb, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, applies. Also remember what Ray Wong said about businesses creating their own data-driven digital networks. I think that's a big thing that, we can all now start, in our interaction with business owners, like, you guys need to start doing this, or, the next pandemic, what's going to happen? And a lot of them, they don't have maybe the resources to do it, or haven't had, or it wasn't a priority. But I think we need to drive that home. Of course, this is not to say that businesses should ignore zones 2 and 3. On the contrary, those zones still represent key sources for acquiring new customers and expanding brand awareness. In fact, the lower 2 zones may initially hold much greater importance to establishments that have not implemented effective customer retention and digital community building strategies. So if their zone 1 is not growing at a healthy, consistent clip, this means they'll need to smartly allocate more time and resources to the other zones. Again, this is where your agency can come to the rescue. All you need to do is let the business owner absorb the independent Emex data and framework. Then you simply step in with your detailed strategies and solutions that will help move them closer to the ideal. For example, you could help them get more customers by ramping up their SMS spend, adding a mobile app, creating and executing a social media strategy, and more. The marketing efforts of the business in the lower zones should focus on funneling prospects up to zone 1 through advertising, retargeting, relevant content, sign-up forms, in-store posters, etc., etc. 1 second, guys.
I thought that would have been Michael Jackson or something, man.
No. Okay, and the way to funnel them upward is to provide irresistible value. So we'll go on to chapter 10, create value proposition statements. See what their competitors are doing and offer better, more unique experiences. Are you guys familiar with Mech Labs, which also owns Marketing Sherpa?
Yeah.
Yeah. They are 2 great resources that I love. Mech Labs calls itself a marketing experimentation lab and consulting companies. They work with companies like the New York Times and Allstate Insurance to help increase their conversion rates. So they'll tweak and run A/B and multivariate testing on forms, landing pages, etc. But one of their big claims to fame is to help companies develop value proposition statements for their brands, products, and services. In order to do that, they came up with a basic value proposition question that every business must answer from their customer's perspective. The question is this: if I am your ideal customer or prospect, why should I buy from you instead of your competitor? So again, let me repeat that. If I am your ideal customer or prospect, why should I buy from you instead of your competitor? And not only should your clients answer that question, you should try this exercise for your own brand, products, and services. But the better a business can address that question, the greater their chances of providing the kind of value that gets more people into their zone 1 bucket. Also, the value proposition statement becomes one component of the broader positioning, depositioning statement. Okay, any questions about that?
We did have a question come up, but it wasn't about that. It was just a sideline question if it's not going to throw you off too much.
Okay.
And I think I know the answer to this, but I want to see how you answer it. Is what are the tools that are being used to monitor and manage the stats? There are no specific tools that you're married to at this point, right? Is that a correct answer?
That is correct. Yeah, there's no single. I think that's the thing about the data that's out there. It's big companies are doing their own thing. Like I mentioned, like a HubSpot or an A&A, Campaign Monitor. Some of these others, they're doing that. They have their own resources. They're spending their own money. Hrefs, again, they do a lot of research. Yeah. And so, and I think, and that's one reason why I wanted to put Emex Marketing together, because there are so many disparate resources that if you go online, if a business owner goes online and says, well, let me see if I can find out about this, it's chaos, right? And my job, my expertise is connecting the dots within a sea of chaos.
I'd like to chime in here. This is Lloyd.
Hey, Lloyd.
Hey. So your last statement about the question that you posed regarding to if I'm your ideal customer, I like that. I really do. I think that's a good way to kind of start a conversation potentially. But the stuff above that you've presented so far, I think is a lot of great data, a lot of great information. Somebody like me, I really like it. I can really relate to it. But some of these niches, though, I feel like they're definitely not smarter than the fifth grader. They may be smarter than a third grader, but I just don't see how they're going to absorb a lot of that stuff when you present this to them, because it's like, to some of these people, it might be like reading Greek.
Well, see, that's where you come in, right? So
if I can get to them.
Yeah, and a lot of that comes with preparing handouts that provide key data. But I agree that the challenge is first you have to know how to get to the decision maker. So that is a challenge.
Yeah, one of the things that I always did, Lloyd, is like with regards to credit card processing, as an example, I took myself to the edge of trying to learn as much as I could, to be geeked out about it as much as I possibly could when it came to mids and TIDs and back end and how the transactions were being run and all that. But like you said, most niche markets, there's going to be a point in which we don't need to go further. And that case is true, but the other case is true too, where they're analyzing, do these guys got my back? Do they understand how the market moves? Are they understanding today's modern marketing? And, some would appreciate more. Our job is definitely identifying who that player is on the other side, right? And then just really custom tailoring our presentation to suit. And it should change all the time. It should always change, should have a lot of similarities to the presentations, but based on your audience, it's going to change, because you want to really just bring your presentation to the level of your prospect the best you can. You don't want to go over their head, and then you don't want to do the opposite either. So that's just my 2 cents on that. I don't know if you agree with that, Michael.
No, that's absolutely correct. And I think, for example, you could take that resource allocation table, and I think I could just take that table and just sit down with a business owner and just say, hey, listen, I got this information from an expert resource, and here's how they, recommend that, you should be allocating your resources. In case you have never, really looked at anything like this, why don't we just talk about it for a minute? And they see, okay, in zone 1, they see stuff that they recognize.
Yeah.
And I think it's easy for someone to say, if you tell them, hey, listen, you see, with email and SMS, you have more control. And then you say, well, why do I have more control here? Well, because this is where you gather first-party data. You get name, email, phone number, And then you compare it to, say, zone 3, social media. And you go, well, gee, you go social media zone 3, you don't have much control over social media, do you? Facebook controls that. So what we want to do is we want to give value to zone 3, but we want to make sure that value is working for us. And it's working to get those people away from Facebook and into another zone where we can exert more influence over their decision-making process.
Love it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It makes sense, but still, I think when you start talking about zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, things like that, I mean, we're probably at the 7th grade level now where most of these businesses, they don't have email or they don't do SMS. It's like, it seems to me you got to be at just a more basic, fundamental, lower level just to convince them of the need for that. Because in my encounters, because I'm in a space now working, and in my encounters with a lot of them, it's like, oh, we're making money because everybody's making money because everybody's redoing their houses or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Fat, dumb, and happy. Why do I need to add? So they're lucky.
Right.
And at some point that's gonna run out, right? The luck's gonna change. But convincing of them that and trying to invest in the futures.
Right.
I'm not saying you should do it, but I'm just saying those are just kind of things that you're gonna run into, that I ran into.
Yeah, and also keep in mind that Emex Marketing, this is an evergreen resource. It's like me saying omnichannel. It's just something that's out there that is a tool at your disposal. Now, you may need it, you may not need it for every client. And then some, you may need it to make a difference when you are going up against a competitor. And maybe that business owner needs a deeper explanation of why they should hire you instead of that competitor. So the intent of Emex Marketing is to be an independent resource that can enhance your credibility and provide information for a business owner who might want to learn more.
Yeah,
and
it really sets the stage for the other services you're selling. I mean, it really, really does. Whether it be, SMS marketing, whether it be mobile application, or the both, and some other things, and so, yeah, I couldn't agree more. But you made a valid point. It's, we're not going to use all the same tools for every single prospect, or you're doing it wrong. These should be custom tailored solutions and presentations based on a little bit of research, knowing who you're presenting to, knowing what their need is and where you meet that need. And, in some cases, you got to show more proof. Some cases, you got to show more data. In some cases, data makes their mind hurt. And really, the trick is understanding who that person is. I know that's a little redundant, but I love the fact that we have yet a tool to go to here where it applies. And, and I love your application as well, teaching the application of it, like sitting down with just that diagram, for instance, or that table.
Yeah. I assure you, if you want to sit down with, let's say you decide or made a contact with maybe a growing franchise, and I was doing some research recently and I noticed there's like this huge, rise in Pokey franchises. You guys familiar with Pokey? And, Pokey is like a Hawaiian fish and rice. And these sort of regional franchise operations are popping up. But I guarantee you want to sit down with someone starting that, you're going to want to have some Emex marketing data when you sit down with them.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would agree with you. If there's sort of a, if you got a business that's already making money hand over fist, they may not want to talk to you anyway.
Well, yeah, there's that. then there's that. They think that the business, like you said, Lloyd, they think it's just going to keep raining until it doesn't. But, right now people are spending. And I think, yeah, we are, on one hand, it's got more people buying at bigger dollars today, but on the other hand, it's got more people saying, "No, we don't need anything new. It's just flowing." Yeah, we got something. All right, listen, I'm going to throw it back to you, Michael. We knocked you a little bit off there with a couple questions, but that's what we want to do. So
I love it.
Back on your roll.
That's what it's all about.
Cool.
Next, chapter 11. With any new methodology comes a few new terms. There are 3 for Emex Marketing. The first term is Emex Value Exchange Network. You'll notice that the acronym is EVEN, or you can call it an Emext VIN. An Emex Value Exchange Network is a digital community that a business nurtures by giving value, and they grow it by using permission-based Emex marketing strategies to collect relevant prospecting and customer data. The intent of the business is to trade information, better experiences, rewards, goods, or services in return for money, testimonials, feedback, etc. You could view it as our user-friendly version of the data-driven digital network that I discussed earlier. So no longer is the primary question, how can I convert the subscriber into a buyer? Instead, it is, how can I help this member of my community get what they want or need? So the money is not in the list. The money is in the relationship and implicit or explicit value exchange agreement you have with each segment of your community.
Very well said. That is a very good quote.
Thank you. The second term is rich media incentive. It combines multimedia like video, audio, and podcasts with interactive web elements like input forms, surveys, and more. So rich media is a common term. It's not something I made up, but the incentive part I added. The incentive is the valuable and insightful content and unique experience you promise to provide. So you should use an RMI if you want to grab the attention of a new audience, stand out from the competition, increase engagement rates, accelerate the customer journey, or create a better user experience. One particular RMI that I like is the microsite, which is a hyper-targeted website consisting of 1 to 3 pages. I've included an example later in the PDF. The goal of a microsite is to focus a prospect's attention on a specific product, service, event, or a campaign. It should provide great content, build trust and credibility, and be engaging. The third term is called piggybacking. Piggybacking is when you advertise a rich media incentive, podcast, webinar, report, or other valuable content along with a promotion or coupon offer. It's an add-on. This can be a very valuable tactic for businesses that sell high-price or complex products or services. That's because those prospects often require more nurturing, persuasion, and trust building before buying. Again, you'll see what I mean in just a moment. On to chapter 12 and an example. Finally, to wrap things up, I'll provide an example that brings this new terminology into focus. You guys are already familiar with coupon deals that a restaurant might offer. So rather than go that route, I decided to kick things up a notch and discuss how a kitchen remodeling company could employ Emex Marketing. As you know, there are big bucks involved in remodeling projects, and decisions come a lot slower than those involving low-cost transactions. So the example company is Incredible Kitchens. I've provided an image of a flyer that could be a digital ad or even tweaked for direct mail. Like me, you guys probably get Home Ideas magazines that are filled with ads that look similar to what I provided in the PDF. But take a look at the bottom left corner of the flyer. I've never seen any of the companies in my area employing what I called RMI piggybacking. Remember that RMI stands for Rich Media Incentive. So do you think someone interested in remodeling their kitchen might want to watch that video or similar to get to know the company? How much could that impact their decision to use this contractor over another? Personally, I think a lot, especially when no one else is doing this. Again, this is where your agency can get the edge. As I mentioned earlier, one of my favorite RMI vehicles is a microsite. And a great example of a microsite is one created by Emex Labs. So you guys should see the screenshot in your PDF. Remember that Emex Labs is a marketing laboratory. So they have likely tweaked, tested, and optimized the crap out of this site. So borrow from their expertise. Here's some key takeaways from our review of their site. One, the header area does not contain any menu links to distract attention. Two, an input form entices prospects to request more information, since either calling or completing the form are the most wanted responses. Emex Lab placed the contact details above the fold. The central video directly addresses the promise of the microsite's main headline. Fourth, there's a link below the video to download a valuable report. And five, additional related videos provide more high-value information to inspire prospects to act. And six, having a few related articles on a microsite can also be beneficial, but only if they provide value. So Incredible Kitchens could create a similar microsite for its kitchen remodeling campaign. The site could include multiple videos, a design checklist, a downloadable trends report, and a consultation request form. I created a video where I walk through this site in much greater detail, and that's on the main blog post. So if that remodeling flyer was a Facebook ad, when someone clicked on it, they would be taken to a landing page where their email and phone number are required to get the coupon and a link to the RMI. And just like that, the prospect becomes part of the business's Emex Value Exchange network. Who sees an opportunity here? And then lastly, below, you'll see where I provided a couple of stats of why local businesses should be testing RMI piggybacking. Okay, so now moving on to wrap things up. Any questions before I go to wrap up?
Go ahead and do that. And then also, does Derek already have maybe the blog? Maybe we can get a link to the blog so we can go deeper on this knowledge.
Yeah, it should be in the PDF that everyone has.
Okay, it's in the PDF. Good. Everybody has it. Excellent. Go ahead. Good
so
stuff.
I'll go to the wrap up with thoughts, recommendations, and takeaways. So the first thing, if you have a hard time selling, use Emex Marketing as an independent, credibility-enhancing resource. It provides all the data you need to make your case. It has a framework and set of best practices that your prospects will easily understand. At least many will. So, for example, you could create a positioning handout that includes pertinent excerpts from the guide and a link back to it for those who might want to read the full article. But by having a foundational framework that business owners can buy into will help them and you prioritize the specific strategies and solutions you want to implement for them over the short and long term. Secondly, work with your clients to create value proposition statements and positioning/depositioning statements so that everyone knows where the boat is going and they feel comfortable and confident about getting there. And thirdly, when you're pitching your strategies and solutions to business owners, highlight the importance and urgency for them to build an Emex Value Exchange network. This is an asset that will help them grow and sustain their business in good and bad times. And now finally, my little gift to you for sticking around and my appreciation to Damien, thank you, sir, for letting me hang out with the cool kids. And it's this. If you incorporate Emex Marketing into your discussions with local businesses about using a GoMobile product or service, and you feel like a final personal touch from me would help push the deal over the finish line to help you close it, then let me know. I'll be more than happy to jump on a 3-way Zoom call, you, me, and the biz owner, to answer their questions about the framework, no charge. So I believe in the framework. I'm willing to stick behind it, and I'm willing to help you help them.
Reed was so shocked he heard like he had to see if he was still awake. Hey man, that is an absolute fantastic gift because, you know, I'm sure, well, first of all, let me know, give us some feedback. Let me not speak for you. Tell us in the chat. This is an absolute free gift. There's nothing to buy. There's nothing ever to buy here. This is literally a man who's done a deep dive on research to create this methodology of marketing that is very modern right now, that is available to you guys as a tool, backed up with a PDF and a blog with plenty of data in his year of work. And if you're going to use it to help prop you up for your next $10,000 deal, he'll be there beside you to help you close the deal. He's not looking for any compensation. So, wow, right? All right, so let's see. Did everybody light up the chat? Hopefully, yeah. John came back. He said he was leaving, but he's back. Thank you so much. Douglas as well. Awesome gift. Joe, that's great. Tina, wow, wasn't expecting that, huh? Yeah, well, thankfully I didn't steal his thunder. He wouldn't let me steal that. That's really cool, Michael.
Take it from the movie Three, Three Good Men or Two Good Men or whatever it is.
The Three Amigos?
No. What am I thinking of? Tom Cruise.
Oh, Tom Cruise, Top Gun? I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a new one coming out, by the way. I just saw it the other day.
In one way, so you need me on that wall,
Hey, so listen, Michael.
A few good men.
A few good men. Thank you.
Yeah,
that's
a few good men. Yeah,
that was a good one.
Yeah, so I'm going to say that if you're looking to close, especially a high-end client who is going to ask a lot of questions, you need me on that wall with you.
I love that. And he's just met you.
That's right.
He's just met you here. So it's just another example of how, I'm able to leverage, thankfully, humbly, able to leverage my network to provide value for you. So kudos for you for coming today. Well, thank you. And, before we let you go, we got to do it the GoMobile way. And so everybody, if you really appreciated Michael Holland's stuff today, if you appreciated his PDF today, if you appreciated his research and the data that he's assimilated together for you, if you appreciate the crazy gift, I don't think anybody's given a gift of their time to help you close deals in a professional setting like that. Let's get off the give it to him. Give it to him.
Michael. Thanks, man. It was a great session. Really appreciate it.
Good job,
Thank
Michael.
you, guys.
Can't wait to check it out, Michael.
Really awesome, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure.
You are
Thank you.
awesome.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Allow me to
Blessings to you.
Appreciate it, Michael.
Yeah. See that? We love you around here, Michael.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.